Hello everybody and welcome to Pravus Gaming and Stellaris. I know, I caved. I said that I probably wouldn't be doing any more Stellaris on the channel because the pacing doesn't quite work for me on YouTube, but Apocalypse just came out, version 2.0 of the game, and I have to say, it looks pretty good. The early game has been changed up quite a bit, and I am eager to explore it, so you know what? We have a couple of weeks until the next expansion to Hearts of Iron 4 comes out. I figure if we're going to cave and play more Stellaris, then now is the time. So, let's go ahead and set up a new game. Now, we could be playing as one of our favorite biological empires, the Holy Moravian Empire, the Brood of Ka, and so on. But for this particular series, which I don't expect to be a very long series, but I wanted to try out a machine empire. As far as I'm aware, none of the other major YouTubers are trying this out, and the machine empires are interesting to me because they really do change up the playstyle of the game quite a bit, and I'm very curious to see if they are still balanced in the Apocalypse expansion. The early game is a very crucial time for a good machine empire, especially if you're going to be playing as a Gestalt consciousness, which is the default. So yeah, we're going to be trying that out today and see how well it works for us. The nation I've created is called the Synchronized. We are machine intelligence, which means we have immortal leaders, and we also have to build our own population rather than let it grow naturally. For our ethics, we have rapid replicators, which allows us to build our robots, our population, a little bit faster, 20%, not too bad, and rock breakers, an extra 10% minerals across the entire empire. Very solid. Even the biological equivalent of this is a pretty good choice no matter what, because minerals is just so darn useful. And then for our individual traits, the Synchronized are bulky, which means our resettlement cost is a lot higher, which should never really affect us that much, if ever, because we'll probably always just be building new pops, not just resettling them for influence. So that should be a throwaway pick there. Repurposed hardware, leader experience gain. Now this one kind of hurts a little bit, because with long-living leaders, I like for them to get up to maximum skill as quick as possible so I can get as much use out of them as possible, but we had to lose some points in order to get more traits later, so I think this is the least egregious of the bunch. For the positive traits, we have Recycled, which reduces the cost of robots by 20%, which means instead of 100 minerals, we are building our pops for 80 minerals, and we're building them faster. You're starting to see a theme there. And we have Power Drills, another 10% minerals for all of my robots. So the theme here, then, is I'm trying to get as much minerals as quickly as possible, as early as possible. We are getting a lot of different reductions in cost and speed to try and build population and start really expanding, and then get loads of minerals so I can keep building out my pops, and then start building up a massive fleet. It's minerals, 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 and more minerals. That's what we're going for, and this should work out very well. And then, once we get robo-modding, and I can start building out specialized robots for different purposes, instead of the power drills, we can switch over to robots that are better at making energy, robots that are better at research, and so on. So the minerals for the early game, and then once we have a really strong economic start snowballing out of control from there. We're going to use the humanoid ships just because I think they look cool, and I haven't used them yet. I actually only just picked them up, so what the heck, that seems pretty fun. We're starting on a tundra world, Synthon. I do think that the Arctic cold planets are the best for a machine empire because they tend to have more minerals on them, I think, if I'm correct. You may notice, though, that we don't get to choose our warp travel type or our weapon type. That's because we start off, well, with all weapon types at the beginning of the game and only hyperspace, but I'll show you guys how that works in a little bit. For our game, we will be playing with a large galaxy. Spiral should be fine. 14 more empires. I'm not going to have any advanced AIs. I don't like them too much. A couple of fallen empires, marauder empires. Now, that's something new. We'll experience that later. Not going to mess with any of this stuff. Let's go ahead and crank up the number of primitive civilizations a little bit. They're particularly fun for a machine empire because we can, basically conquer them and turn them into human or, well, biological batteries for the rest of us. It's Matrix-style crap, but it's pretty fun. Crisis strength is fine, aggressiveness, blah, blah, blah. Hyperlane density, abandoned gateways and wormhole pairs. Those are new in this expansion. Different ways of getting around the galaxy, instant teleportation. That's pretty fun. Hyperlanes are incredibly important here, though, because you guys may recall in the base game before Apocalypse came out, you could have the option to have hyperlanes only as your form of FTL. Well, now that is based into the game from the very beginning. Everyone only has access to hyperlanes. Now, from a theme perspective, that may not make a lot of sense. The ability to travel via warp or wormhole was a pretty nice choice, right? But most experienced players found that hyperlanes were the most balanced and the most fun, and we're setting it to the default anyway. So they just made it part of the base game. Now you have to research those other options much later if you want them. We will do an Iron Man game, because why the heck not? And let's get started. Okay, here we are, the Synchronized. Everything is a hyperlane in the galaxy. That should be pretty nice. And we are in the planet of, or the system of Synthus. That is our name of our star on the Synthon planet. Let's see, we have a bit of research, some energy, some more minerals, a few useful things. All right, well, before we explore all the changes of the game, let's go ahead and just jump into some of this stuff right now. I'm going to go to my population. Ooh, a 20-sized planet to start. That's not bad. I can definitely get behind some of that. Let's go ahead and start building up another pop right away. Use up some of those minerals. And for our research, we will go for physics lab or power plant. Maybe power plant? I think we'll go for the physics lab just so I can start getting some better research. Uniform data standards, +2 monthly unity. That's pretty strong. Now, I think biological empires can actually get +5 unity from their biological equivalent of this tech. Also, new edicts campaigns. That's kind of fun. And let's see, we could go for the improved server motors for the extra minerals, which I think is probably going to be worth it. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm not going to cover every single change that has been made to the game in the patch notes. There are a lot of other more experienced Stellaris players who could do that. Few things that I do want to note, though, right off the bat, because they change the entire way that the game works. First off, your military fleets can no longer travel to unexplored systems on their own, so you can't use them as your scouts. You have to send a manned science ship to go and explore it. They can land and arrive in the system first, and then your corvettes can go there. But yeah, you're kind of limited now. So that's an interesting change right off the bat. Secondly, your borders have been completely changed. It used to be that the borders of your nation or your star empire were based around the colonized systems and the population contained therein. And as they expanded and more and more of these star systems fell within your borders, you could then start building stuff within. Not anymore. If I want to start taking over some different star systems, I'm going to have to take a construction ship and build a, well, I can't show you quite yet, but build an outpost. And every individual star system I want to control is going to need to have some sort of an outpost to see my borders grow. Very different right off the bat, and we're going to see what the consequences are of that pretty early on. Another major change. So you still have a starport around your planet, and this can build all manner of civilian ships. Construction, science, colony at the beginning. That's pretty much it. Where do you build your corvettes? Glad you asked. You have to build those at your handy-dandy shipyard right here. This is something kind of new. The shipyard is where you could build your individual ships, like so, corvettes and so on. This is where you're going to have your defense platforms and some different modules and buildings for different perks. The shipyard, for example, is required if you want to start building actual ships. And you could have multiple shipyards on here, so you can build lots of ships in parallel with each other if you want to. There are other options, though. You have the anchorage for increasing your naval capacity, which has been completely reworked as well. Some extra defensive batteries, a trading hub for energy, which is now kind of like what the solar panels used to be. But you get that at the beginning of the game. No need to research it. That's kind of nice. For buildings down here, we have the service umbilicals for the robots, which is just an upkeep modifier. Resource silos, weapons range, communications jammers, sublight speed aura. Now, this is interesting. So one of the big changes they made here, because everyone has to use hyperlanes. Let's suppose that I wanted to travel from this star system through Synthus onto this system, right? So my ships would arrive here. Now, it used to be, as long as you were at the edge of the star system, you'd sit here in this new star system, you'd wait a few days, and then warp off to the next one. Not anymore. We would arrive here, and then we'd have to travel through the star system to get to this other arrow, and then we would leave. This changes everything, because it no longer means that you're going to be chasing down the AI from star system to star system as they kind of just evade you throughout your empire. No, they have to travel through your systems, which means you actually have a chance to intercept them with your bases and defense platforms and stop them from going forward. And you can have those extra auras around your shipyard to make them even slower. Sublight speed is now way more important than it used to be, and how you move around on the map changes completely. Big change. Seems small. Not small. Massive. All right, let's actually play the game a little bit, though. The discovery of alien life, cool, we get some society research. I mean, I already knew that there was alien life, so, you know, whatever. Complete. No big deal. Hey, thank you. We have a machine voice telling us what's going on here. While we're sitting around waiting, let's go ahead and build up some extra energy. Actually, you know what? Cancel that. I would actually rather go ahead and grab the research right off the bat so we can get some more science. We're okay on energy for the moment. Okay, other big changes that have been made to the game. What else do we have? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the ship planner real quick. Ship designers. So we start off with all of the weapon types. We have our mass drivers and our red lasers. Okay, now you may be saying, wait a minute, there was another one. What happened to the missiles? Good question. Missiles have been changed up, so now you actually have to have a special slot specifically for them. This is where you would place the nuclear missiles if you want to do this, like so. And then we would place, let's say, I don't know, what would we place here, actually? Probably a mass driver? I don't know yet. I'm not sure what the balance is for ships now. But yeah, we could do something kind of like this. Probably because nuclear missiles were actually the strongest weapon type of the early game. So they've made it, you actually have to have a trade-off if you want to do this. They've also completely rebalanced what damages what. Missiles have complete shield penetration and do hull damage. Extra hull damage. Mass drivers do extra shield damage, but less armor damage, and so on. And they've even changed the way that all ships have health. Now you have 3 health bars: shield, armor, and hull. Right? It used to be that armor was just a damage modifier for the hull, and the shields were their own kind of thing. Now they all work kind of in tandem, each as different levels of health. You want to destroy the hull in order to destroy the ship. Piercing the shields actually can go a pretty long way for that. So yeah, that's completely changed anything. What does it mean for the long term, right? I have no idea. How does this completely change up how you build your ships? I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to find out. They've also completely changed, and it just keeps going, how the admirals work. So right now we can have 20 fleet size. If we go to Fleet Manager down here, this is our current fleet. We could assign an admiral down here. We could automatically say that we want to increase the size of the fleet to being 5 corvettes. But there's a maximum number of ships that can be in a fleet controlled by an admiral at a time. So now each individual fleet has to have the different ship configurations and fleet compositions, right? The number of destroyers, cruisers, and so on. You're limited in how big your fleet can ever be instead of just blobbing into one giant fleet under one admiral. Not going to be an option anymore. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that changes up the game. Right now, I have no idea. Haven't played this nearly enough to test it out. But it is interesting. All right, have we finished with the pop here? Not for a while. Let's go ahead and build a new mining station in Synthis and see how things are looking down here. What's this? A size 12 Gaia world. Not actually that useful to me. One of the great advantages of the machine empires is that they do size 16. Okay. One of the great advantages of the machine empires is they don't require happiness, so you never have that modifier working against you, and they have 100% habitability on any type of planet. So a Gaia world might seem tempting, but otherwise just kind of like, I don't really care that much. What I want are giant planets. That would be amazing. We can find some size 25s or anything above 20, that would be great. But I feel like the odds of that happening are relatively low. So there's nothing else for me to build here with this construction ship. We could use the construction ship to go over here and build a Starbase Outpost. This would cost me 100 minerals and 75 influence, but this area would now become part of my borders, and I could build there as we would in the previous part of the game. Also colonize, if we want to. Now, here's the downside of doing this. So every time that we are expanding our empire, right? Okay, actually, let me back up for a second. Do you guys remember how with science and with Unity, the cost for new technology, for example, used to go up based on the number of planets you controlled and the amount of population within your empire? Remember that? That's now been rescaled. The number of planets matters, and the number of star systems under your control matters. Right? So, for example, if I were to build a Starbase Outpost right here, I would be increasing the cost of all of my technology for the rest of the game. Not by much. I think it's like 2% per star system. But even so, it means that if there's not a lot of things to gain from this, it may not be worth it to me. Unless I'm trying to build out to something better over here, for example. So yeah, you want to be kind of selective as far as how you are building out your star systems. You don't want to necessarily control every star possible and only colonize a handful of planets. It may very well be that it's just not worth picking up the star system and taking on the tech cost penalty. That is something to consider. I'm not sure if it's something really worth micromanaging a lot, but it is something you could consider. Anyway, Synthon's about to finish building up a new pop. Let's go ahead and quickly construct a mining network. We will also build another pop right here so I don't forget. And while we're at it, let's build an uplink node so that we can get some extra unity. Yeah, you know, we'll go ahead and do that. I was actually wondering if maybe I want to switch this around and get unity faster, but for the time being, I think we'll be okay. Another major change to the game is going to be leaders. Leaders are no longer purchased using influence. They are purchased using energy. So energy becomes a bit more important if you want to have a lot of leaders, and influence is now not quite as important as it was before, but that's fine because you need it if you want to expand at all. So that's been completely rebalanced. So yeah, that's one more thing you can keep in mind if you're interested. Let's go for our traditions. Let's see. Now expansion's pretty tempting for me, because I do like getting the extra unity plus tradition cost and stuff like that. These are all pretty good. But I think to start off, we have to adopt synchronicity at the very least. Robot build speed increased by another 33%. That stacks with the 20% we already have. So now we can build our pops much, much, much faster. We'll just adopt it. I'm not necessarily going to work down the tree for very long, but this is a pretty solid start. And then after that, maybe I'll move on to expansion. I don't think Discovery is necessarily going to be worth it to me. As a Machine Empire, I'm probably not going to be exploring all over the place looking for anomalies. I just want to settle down and build one heck of an economy. That's all I really care about. That said, if we can find a great anomaly that leads to more minerals, I'm certainly not going to complain about it. But so far, we don't seem to be getting very lucky. This is actually kind of a weak start. The 20-size planet is pretty good, but beyond that, let's go here next, and then here. I'm just trying to find, like, if there's anywhere I want to expand that's relatively close by. And then we'll go to this as well, and maybe this as well, and so on. I want to find out where I want to move my construction ship to go ahead and add something else into my empire. Haven't really decided quite yet. Now, with every single empire... Oh, there we go, a Tundra World size 18. That's acceptable to me. That's not terrible. We might be able to make that work. Maybe. Let's go ahead and use a construction ship to build a Starbase Outpost over here, and we'll start getting some more... We'll start getting some more resources and stuff under control. What was I saying? Oh yeah, now that every single nation has to start with hyperspace lanes, you can imagine that the choke points, as far as how to access different areas, become very important. Right here, for example, that's probably a very, very important choke point between the two arms of the galaxy. So yeah, how you build and how you like kind of funnel your opponents is more important than ever. Scientific module lost a weak signal, and despite the best efforts, we have met with failure. It's fine. Wasn't a critical failure, and I didn't lose my science ship, so that's okay. And we gained a level. Not bad. Not bad at all. All right, so on Synthon, we're already building the pop. We're going to get that unity. Let's go ahead and switch these guys around to get the unity right now. We don't care about food as a machine empire, so that's kind of nice. Let's schedule up another pop and some more minerals. You can see here there's a new building, by the way, the Stronghold, which provides 3 defensive armies, protects the armies from orbital bombardment, so they just don't go standing outside waiting to die, and produces some unity and reduces unrest on the planet. That's because defensive armies have also been changed up in the game. I don't think you can build your own anymore. I think they have to be provided by the buildings. So if you really wanted to turtle down and protect a planet, you're going to have to build defensive structures to actually provide the defense that you need. You can build assault armies, though, which is kind of nice. But I don't know how that's going to work as far as changing up the bombardment rules. That's going to be very interesting to see how that changes everything. I'm not quite sure yet. We'll find out, though. All right, so our construction ship is indeed building a new starbase like so. We should see our borders expand in just a moment, which will be kind of fun. There we go. Complete. And now our borders expand, and that's the only way you can do it now. You want to have your borders expand? That's what you do. Kind of cool. And some people, I think, are going to find that this slows down the game quite a bit. And yes, it kind of does. But to be honest, I'm okay with this so far. I mean, just in the little test games that I've done with this, it really hasn't bothered me. I actually kind of think that slowing down and kind of making the expansion a bit more methodical has resulted in a more entertaining early game. But how that affects, like, the long-term implications, I have no idea yet. Complete. Even so. All right, so let's see. Construction complete. We're working on this anomaly right here. This is the planet that I would like to consider colonizing. It's got Betharian stone on it, guys. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. A bit of society research, which is not the most useful to me. Not a lot of great places to build. Well, let's see. What's this? Habitability minus 10%. Pfft, doesn't matter to me. I'm a robot. Yeah, we probably can colonize this planet. Size 18 is acceptable. I prefer 20 size or greater, but we can probably justify this. Yeah, let's go ahead and build out a, Starbase Outpost right here. It's going to take us a little time. We have to fully survey the system before we can do that. And we failed again. Good lord. You cannot get your anomalies going at all, can you? You suck. You're fired.
System survey complete.
All right, system survey complete. Now we can take in the construction ship and build another Starbase Outpost right here and claim this world. Actually, you know what, science ship? Go ahead and research this real quick. This is a black hole, and I'm kind of curious what's going to be over there. We'll explore this over here as well, just because we already have some connection before I go too far. Then we'll go back here, and then we'll go just do a couple of these. All right, that should be fine. Now, you may be saying, why can't you just build a Starbase Outpost like right here? Why do this one? Why not just build one right here and have your borders join up that way? So the reason I don't want to do that is because of the cost that scales up. So it depends on how many jumps away you are from a planet. If I'm understanding this correctly, and I guess we could test this real quick. That hasn't been fully surveyed, so no, I can't show you quite yet. Hang on, let's do this first. Would you want to go for expansion? Yes, let's go for expansion. This is something I said I wanted to do. So the way this works, if you recall, it was 100 minerals and 75 influence. If I understand correctly, because this is one jump away, that's what determines the cost. If, instead, I wanted to skip this one and build an outpost over here, I could do so, but it would cost twice as much. 200 minerals and 150 influence. So if I could just make that jump and skip it, but it would be costing twice as much, it would be the same cost to have just built one here and then one here. So there's really not a good reason to do so unless you're trying to minimize the tech cost penalty by controlling less star systems. It's even worse if you try to build over here first, paying twice the cost, and then build down here and build at 1 times the cost. So it ended up being 3 times... Oh, sorry. Yes. Twice plus 1, so 3 times the cost, as opposed to just 2 for 2 systems. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but that's the idea. So if you're not trying to really min-max your tech cost penalties, it's probably not worth it. Now, why do I care about these? Because if you can build a starship or a starport over here, I think they have some specialized modules for nebulas, black holes, and stuff, and some of them give some pretty substantial bonuses. I think you could get technically like 10 extra physics for building one over here, if I'm correct. Maybe I'm not, but I think that I am. Speaking of physics, let's go ahead and get some of this. And then let's go to Expansion Planner, and we are going to go ahead and colonize this planet, I think. I think it's going to be worth it. Colonize, where do we want to set up? We'll only get 1 benefit here. Can't do anything there. Maybe here would be okay. Some minerals benefit, but that's about it. It's probably the best I can do, though. All right, we're going to place here. Fulas Prime it is. I really like not having to worry about habitability. It's a pretty substantial advantage for Machine Empire. Machine Empire is honestly, in my opinion, having played a little bit with them. I'm not a great Stellaris player, but the little bit that I've played with them, I think that they have the potential to be outrageously good if they have a very strong opening. Good, strong early game, not attacked by any of their neighbors, focusing on building up tons of minerals, and then they just overwhelm their opponents for the rest of the game. That's what it seems to be to me. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade our blue lasers. Sure, why not? We actually have some other benefits where, for example, we don't have to worry about pirates. We're a machine collective. No one can rebel from the Synchronized. So there are no pirates, which means I don't have to worry about building up an early military. That saves me a few hundred minerals that I can use to build more pops, which is not that bad. So yeah, that's kind of exciting. Let's go ahead and clear out an abandoned strip mine. I want to go ahead and schedule up another pop before I forget. Only can build 1 at a time, unfortunately, but we do build them a lot faster now. We could upgrade you. And maybe we want to do that. Physics lab, I'd rather have engineering. We're working on that, but that's another 47 months. It's probably not worth waiting on it. We'll go ahead and grab the physics. You're going to go here. Another 10% risk thing there. That's fine. Mining network. We are now running low on energy, but that's because I think we successfully built a colony ship. Yes, we did. Okay. Let's see. Down over me here, let's get some of that energy built up, just because I don't want to sit around losing that for much longer. We could upgrade each of these outposts into proper starports later if we wanted to, which wouldn't be that bad. Outposts do not count toward a cap, but you can only have, currently, 3 star bases. So if we do want to upgrade this, this is going to cost us a little bit. I don't know if you can downgrade. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. There's probably going to be technology to increase this later. I'm not too sure. All right, while approaching, the scientific module received a glancing hit by several passing mass driver rounds. Billions of years old, and based on the trajectory, they appear to be stray rounds fired from a neighboring galaxy. Amazing. Extra research from me. Well, that's pretty cool. That saves me a lot of time. Very happy about that. Would love to get that extra Unity, by the way. Could be pretty good. We recovered artifacts. We get to start the Precursors event, the Ute.
Situation log adjusted.
I would argue that's one of the weaker ones, but maybe I'm misremembering. It has been forever. 20% chance. I'm still willing to accept 20%. Anything higher than that, I'm a little bit more iffy. But this should be okay.
Complete.
All right, a little bit more energy there. Don't think I need to worry about Fulahs. Let's go ahead and head back down here. Construction ship. Get me the mining station. Thank you. All right, so we're working on this. That's already been upgraded.
Acquisition successful.
Signs of battle. Clear evidence of a massive space battle. We get Mount Graveyard Expedition.
Situation log adjusted.
Well, that sounds interesting. What is it? No idea. Hang on. Graveyard Expedition. Track on map. Go to here. Skill 3 or higher. Unfortunately, I can't do that at the moment. So we'll come back to that another time. Monthly Unity increased. Good. Network Junction for even more Unity, or the Off-World Trading Company is something else we can build in a starport, or the Defense Army. I think I'd rather just go ahead and go for an upgrade to the Unity. More Unity is certainly good. I mean, I can't really complain about that. Heck no. That's pretty good. I'm starting to see a few minerals in this system, so it might be worth expanding in this direction. We'll see what the rest of this turns out. Could be good. Could be really good, actually, but we'll find out. We'll find out. All right. Right, let's keep going. First Synchronized Colony. Great day for the Synchronized. Yay! We are going to be able to start building on a new planet pretty soon. What I would like to get to is robo-modding relatively soon. That would allow me to start specializing my pops like I talked about before.
Construction
Would be quite good. So we're still building a pop there. We could probably go ahead and build... Actually, may want to consider building a stronghold.
Construction.
We haven't done that yet, but a mining network's still probably better, and we have no use for food, so this will be okay. And we'll build a pop here. Just go ahead and schedule all that. We are generating 29 minerals per month. That's not too bad. So far, finding quite a few minerals in this system. This is actually looking pretty tempting to me. Let's go ahead and take advantage of the research here, since I'm probably never going to colonize a size 12 planet. It's just not worth it to me. We can at least do this. More Unity. What do we want? Capital buildings with extra Unity. Okay. Starbase influence cost reduction can make it easier to expand. Capacity increased. Yes. Effect on tradition cost by number of colonies reduced by 20%. That's pretty good in the long term. And additional pop for colonies. We're going to start working down that route on the off chance I can find a third planet that's worth colonizing. And the extra pop will just help me kind of pick up some steam a little bit faster. It's kind of like Civilization. Right? Civilization 5 or 6 or 4 if you want to go back far enough, where you really want to have like those really strong starts and just kind of optimize your early build orders. I'm just thinking more and more like Stellaris is a lot of that.
Construction
more and more, I just find that if I can have a really strong opening and focus on the right priorities, I tend to have a strong game no matter what I do. That's what I'm going for right now, especially true as a machine empire. But I do think that this is going to be a good place to end this video. We haven't met anybody yet, but we're starting to get around. I've explained a lot of the new mechanics. So, yeah, we're going to be playing this probably just for a couple of weeks. Don't expect me to take this series all the way to the end unless I'm having an absolute blast. I just don't see that happening because Stellaris can be a fairly slow game. But I want to give Apocalypse its due because it does look pretty interesting. They changed the early game up a lot, and that excites me. So, yeah, let's stick around and have fun with this, at least until the next expansion comes out for Hoi 4, and we'll see how things go from there. Thank you all very much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed. If so, then be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.